Hello and welcome to Pale Blue Thoughts once again. I'm glad that my previous video on the evolution of gods and religion was fairly well accepted. In reality, I wanted to set a stage before I began the series, but due to heavy workloads, I couldn't. So I want to set the tone for the rest of the series with this episode as to why people believe in fairy tales and stories. And in the second part of this video, I shall tell you what happens when God tells a story and when humans tell a story. Not that there is any difference in it. That is because all these stories are man-made. If there is anything that has been created from nothing in this world, that has to be the concept of God. With that atheistic thought, let me start this new episode of Pale Blue Thoughts, the most underrated channel on YouTube which promotes scientific temper and debunks pseudoscience. Humans are natural storytellers. Jonathan Gottschall, an American literary scholar who studies literature and evolution, wrote a book called The Storytelling Animal: How Stories Make Us Human. In this book, he argues that humans are addicted to stories. We love reading and watching all kinds of stories, both true and made up ones, like murder mysteries, love stories, war tales, and conspiracy theories. Our addiction to stories goes deeper than just reading books or watching movies. We also dream and imagine in stories. Stories are everywhere in our lives and influence how we think and live. Interestingly, fiction can make us more empathetic and can change our values and beliefs even more effectively than persuasive non-fiction. Stories have incredible power. They have caused wars, inspired terrible acts, and driven significant social change. Surprisingly, whether it is the stories we dream about, read in books, or play pretend as children, they all follow a similar structure. We even tend to fictionalize and embellish the stories of our own lives. Stories are an essential part of being human, shaping our thoughts, feelings, and actions in various ways. Let me introduce another scholar who is relevant to the topic. His name is Yuval Noah Harari, and he is from Israel. He is a historian, professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and a public intellectual. Harari has written some popular science books, including Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. In his writings, Harari explores various topics such as free will, consciousness, intelligence, happiness, and suffering. He talks about the cognitive revolution that happened around 70,000 years ago, during which Homo sapiens became dominant over other species like the Neanderthals. This allowed them to develop language and organize societies, becoming the top predators. The agricultural revolution and the scientific method further accelerated human progress and mastery over the environment. Harari also discusses the possible consequences of a future where biotechnology advances to the point where intelligent biological beings are outperformed by their own creations. He believes that Homo sapiens as we know them might disappear in the next century. The video and topic will be mostly based on two of Harari's books, Homo Deus and Sapiens. These books explore intriguing ideas about the past, present, and future of humanity. In his book, Yuval Harari basically divides human history into three major revolutionary eras, or shaped by three major revolutions: the cognitive revolution of 70,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution of 12,000 years ago, and the scientific revolution around 500 years ago. Let's look in detail about these. Long ago, there was a cognitive revolution that happened around 70,000 years ago. It caused a significant change in the minds of the early humans. Before this revolution, we were just like any other apes, nothing very special. But during this time, something changed in our DNA and brains, making us very different. Our ability to imagine things and be creative was born in this era. This imagination was crucial for our survival as early humans and our ancestors. The agricultural revolution occurred around 12,000 years ago, when many human beings shifted from being hunters and gatherers to settling down and practicing agriculture. This change allowed larger populations to exist. By settling in one place, humans could study and learn how plants grew. This knowledge led to domestication of plants and animals. This revolution happened because of the changes in human thinking from the earlier cognitive revolution. It also brought about the idea of living together in communities and being social animals. The scientific revolution began about 500 years ago and marked the emergence of modern science. During this time, there were significant developments in the fields like mathematics, physics, astronomy, biology, and chemistry. These discoveries changed how society understood nature and the world around us. Despite not being physically as strong as many other species, humans are the most influential and powerful creatures on Earth. For example, we couldn't win a fight against a chimp on our own, or even if it is 3 of us against 1 chimp. If we were left alone on an island with just 1 chimp, the chimp is most likely to survive, but we would struggle to survive. But how did humans manage to become the most powerful and successful species despite this weakness? The answer lies in our unique ability to imagine and think creatively. Imagination may have been a crucial tool for survival by early humans and our ancestors. As this imaginative power evolved, we invented language to communicate with each other. This boosted our ability to work together effectively. Along with the development of agriculture, societies and communities started to form, leading to the creation of small settlements and eventually countries and continents. Our power to imagine and communicate is crucial, and it is the main focus of this video and others that would follow it. This ability is what enables us to tell stories, and storytelling has played a significant role in making humans so successful and powerful throughout history. Perhaps the most important role of them all. One of the main reasons for human success despite physical weakness in evolution, as pointed out by Harari, is our ability to engage in flexible cooperation in large numbers. This means that we can work together effectively and adapt to new challenges. Other species like ants and bees and wolves also cooperate in large numbers, but they lack the flexibility to find solutions when facing unknown threats or obstacles. Unlike humans, they follow fixed and rigid patterns of cooperation. When faced with a new problem, they find it hard to find a solution. However, humans differ from other animals here. With our ability to imagine and our ability to communicate, we are able to collectively come up with a solution to many new problems. Harari shares a meaningful quote: "Homo sapiens rule the world because it is the only animal that can believe in things that exist purely in its own imagination, such as states, gods, money, and human rights." This quote highlights our unique capability as humans, our imagination. It allows us to believe in and create things that don't physically exist but have significant impact on our lives and societies. Using our human capability of imagination, we have created 2 types of realities. 1. Objective reality. This includes things that we can see and touch, like a camera, a car, a building, or a dog. These are real and exist in the physical world. The second is fictional or imaginative reality. Now let's dive into this in more detail. A simple example is money. Take a 100 or 500 rupees note. It is just a piece of paper, right? We saw this clearly when our Prime Minister withdrew the 500 and 1000 rupee notes some time ago. Those notes lost their value and become worthless pieces of paper. But the 100 rupees note still has a value, and I can use it for many things. Why? It is because we all, across the country and the world, blindly believe that this note has a value. This is fictional reality, something we made up. We created a story that these pieces of paper have value, and we all believe in it. Humans crafted this story to enable flexible cooperation among each other. The same goes for things like flags, country boundaries, etc. Countries created by humans are like made-up stories or imaginary realities. Look at this map of India. But you can also find an old map from around 100 years ago and try to find where India is now. You will see many other countries on the map too. In the European Union, the borders between countries are very weak now. They learned from the world wars that fighting over borders is pointless and tragic. So in the EU, you will notice that people can travel and move between countries easily without much hassle. This weakens and makes the fictional reality of countries less important in that region. Long ago, humans created imaginary stories about gods to guide their societies and explain things they didn't understand in the world. These stories were meant to help people work together and survive better. However, now we see that these fictional stories have become the cause of many terrible conflicts. Major battles, massacres, and suicide bombings happen because people with different beliefs clash. Innocent people, even children, have been killed because of these conflicts. Imagine someone wanting to harm you just because you believe in a different story than they do. India and Pakistan are examples of countries where people fought, killed, and separated their lands because they had different fictional stories. Before the independence, they belonged to one story. However, as we approached independence, one set of people who believed in a 1400-year-old story conflicted with another group of people who held on to some stories created some 3,000 to 5,000 years ago, and this led to them getting separated from one another. And that is why we had to create an imaginary boundary line between the two nations. These conflicts show how powerful and sometimes harmful these fictional stories can become when they divide people instead of bringing them together. Today, we spend crores of taxpayers' money each year to keep this imaginary dividing line safe from attack from the other side. The greatest irony is that so much money is spent because the people on either side believe in two different stories. Thus, the fictional reality of stories have resulted in the objective reality of war, terror, and suffering. Israel is a small country with a population similar to that of just one district in India. It is surrounded by many Arab countries. From the beginning, these neighboring countries started attacking and waging war against Israel. But Israel fought back and managed to survive and become a strong nation. Their determination, intelligence, and access to war resources played a significant role in their survival. Israel is considered dangerous by some, but they believe they need to be strong for their own survival. The only reason Israel still survives to this day is because they have been aggressive. Else, they would have been crushed by the forces around them. Yuval Harari once mentioned in a speech that Israel and Palestine have similar geography, languages, ethnicity, and wealth. They share many similarities, but the main difference is the stories they believe in. One group has a 3,000 to 4,000 year old story, while the other follows a 1400-year-old story. These different stories are the ultimate reason for their ongoing conflict and fighting. This shows how important stories can be in shaping the identity and actions of nations and people. The beliefs and narratives they hold can lead to either cooperation or conflict. The stories are the problem. So in this manner, if we look throughout human history, we can see that if we take the lies and stories that we have been telling, a lot of them have become obsolete and morally corrupt. It has become useless with no meaning, sense, or purpose in the current global scenario. But these stories, which once helped humans achieve flexible cooperation in large numbers, are doing the opposite role in today's society. They stand in between the peaceful existence and progress that humans want to make. So whether it is a story of 5,000 years, 2,000 years, or 1400 years, they have become worthless in today's modern world. So please keep this in mind when you listen to the stories in the upcoming videos. You will see how simple, silly stories have evolved into dangerous weapons of mass destruction. I hope you liked this episode. I really value your comments, so please keep them coming. Please share if you want this message to reach many others and help the channel grow. Please subscribe if you haven't, as that is a motivation for me to keep going. I shall be back with more stories on the evolution of gods and religions and my regular scientific content. Until then, it's bye-bye from Pale Blue Thoughts.